The next topic which we have here is provisions relating to the audit under the Companies Act 2013. So this is the out of 50 marks, auditing out of 50 marks. This topic alone itself is 30 marks. Out of 50 marks, provisions relating to the audit under the Companies Act is 30 marks. This is the very important topic. First, in the subject auditing, you have to cover this company's audit. After that, if you have the time, you have to go with independent audits. After that, still if you have the time, you can go with the basics, Nana. Why? Because in the basics, completely 6 chapters together, he is going to ask only one single question in the exam. Just he is going to ask only one single question for 7 marks, and remaining 1 or 2 MCQ questions they will ask. So always give first priority during the exam revision time or during the studying time. Give the first preference to the company's audit. Give the first preference to the company's audit. Once the company's audit is finished, later if you have time, go with the independent audits. That is also most easiest topics. And after that, if you have the time, still you can go with the basic things of auditing, Nana. So scoring wise, this is the priority which you have to give, Nana. So very most important topic. We will discuss in detail each and everything. So listen very carefully. See, Nana, what do you mean by a company? We know what do you mean by a company, Nana. A company is a separate legal entity, correct? A company is nothing but what, Nana? It is a separate legal entity which can be created by law. Only the company can be created by the law, and which can be ended by law. Voluntary also we cannot end that company. So a company is a separate legal entity. It is having a separate legal status, and which can be created by law as well as which can be ended by law only. So in this context, what are the following legal provisions which we are going to study here? Companies Act 2013 we are going to study here. Various company rules 2014 we are going to study here. Relevant sections of the Chartered Accountant ICA Act 1914 and various relevant provisions we are going to study here. We are going to study the accounting standards which is applied in the Companies Act, that also we are going to study here. Standards on auditing which is issued by ICA, that also we are going to study under this chapter, Nana. So first topic under this company's audit is statutory audit, branch audit, joint audit, and what is the role of audit committee. Okay, na? So these are the topics which we are going to cover under this chapter 7.1. Statutory. What do you mean by the term statutory, Nana? The term statutory signifies anything which is regulated by laws of the state. That is nothing but anything which a law says we have to follow that mandatorily. That is only called as a what, Nana? Statutory. Statutory is nothing but mandatory, compulsory. We can say mandatory or compulsory. Whatever the law says, whatever the law complies, whatever the law regulates, we have to follow the same. Accordingly, an audit which is conducted under any specific statute or act, it may be called as a which audit, Nana? Statutory audit. Statutory audit means what, Nana? If you are conducting an audit as per any act, means act is specifying here. It can be a Companies Act, Partnership Act, any act. If the companies are any act which is specifying the auditor to conduct an audit, in that case we will call it as a which audit, Nana? Statutory audit. Next, qualifications of an auditor, Nana. What are the qualification of a company auditor? So here we can't say this topic is important, that topic is important. I told you this chapter alone itself is for how many marks? 30 marks. 30 marks means minimum how many questions they will ask? 3 questions. Minimum 7 marks question they will ask 3, Nana. From this chapter alone itself only 7 marks question they will ask 3 questions from this chapter, company's auditor. So each and every topic is important here. Nothing is important, nothing is not important here. Every topic is important here. Listen carefully and learn carefully, Nana. Company auditor, Nana. What are the qualifications of a company auditor? Who can be appointed as an auditor for a company? Okay, na? And what is his qualification? So qualification of a company auditor has been defined under section 141. Qualification of a company auditor has been defined under which section? Section 141 of the Companies Act 2013 will specify who are the following persons eligible for conducting an audit. First point, a person shall be eligible for appointment as an auditor of a company only if he is a chartered accountant. Means what, Nana? Who is eligible to appoint as an auditor for a company, Nana? Only he is a chartered accountant. That too he should possess certificate of practice. He is a chartered accountant as well as certificate of practice. If he is possessing, only that person can be appointed as a chartered accountant. Let us take one example, Nana. So what are the qualifications of an auditor, Nana? What is the first point we have seen, Nana? A person. What is the first point, Nana? A person shall be eligible for appoint as an auditor of a company only if he is a chartered accountant plus holding certificate of practice. A person, only he is a qualified chartered accountant, only that person will be eligible to audit, Nana. Sir, what about CMA? Sir, if a qualified cost and management accountant, whether he can audit he can act as a statutory auditor? The answer is no. A CMA qualified holding certificate of practice cannot be act as a statutory auditor. Only a chartered accountant with a valid certificate of practice, that person can be eligible to appoint as an auditor. Let us take one example here. Suppose there is one company called XYZ Limited. A is a chartered accountant as well as B is also a chartered accountant. A is also a qualified chartered accountant, B is also qualified chartered accountant. But A is not holding certificate of practice, but B is holding certificate of practice. Now out of these persons A and B, and there is another one more person, we will add C also. C is a qualified cost and management accountant plus holding certificate of practice. Now out of these three people, who can be appointed as a statutory auditor here? Out of these three people, A, B, C. XYZ Limited is a one company. For this company, who can be appointed as a statutory auditor? Here A cannot be appointed as a statutory auditor. Why? A is a qualified chartered accountant, but he does not possess into the Nana. He is not possessing what, Nana? Certificate of practice. That is the reason A is not eligible to appoint as a statutory auditor for a company. Then what about B, Nana? Yes. The B can be appointed as a chartered accountant of XYZ Limited. Why, Nana? Because here B is a qualified chartered accountant as well as he is holding what, Nana? Certificate of practice. A person who is a qualified chartered accountant plus holding a certificate of practice, he can be appointed as a auditor. Which auditor, Nana? Statutory auditor. Next, third, C. C is a what, Nana? Qualified professional. What is his qualification? Cost and qualified CMA and holding certificate of practice. Whether he can be acted as a statutory auditor? The answer is no, Nana. He cannot be appointed. Then who can be appointed as a statutory auditor for a company, Nana? Only a chartered accountant, individual person who is a qualified chartered accountant holding a certificate of practice. Only that person can be appointed as an auditor. So this is the explanation for first point, Nana. Second point, let us go through the second point, Nana. A firm can also be appointed by its firm name to act as an auditor of a company if majority of its partners practicing in India are qualified for appointment as a company auditor. So a partnership firm also can be appointed as a company statutory auditor, Nana, in the name of partnership firm. Okay, na? But what is the condition he is saying? In that partnership firm, majority of its partners should be practicing in India and those partners should be a qualified professional. Then only they can be appointed as a statutory auditor. Then only that firm can be appointed as a statutory auditor, Nana. Let us see one example for this. Suppose AB and Co is a partnership firm. AB and Co is a partnership firm. In this partnership firm, there are partners A, B, C, D, E. These are the partners in the partnership firm. Okay, na? A is a partner, B is a partner, C is a partner, D is a partner, E is a partner in the partnership firm. A is a qualified CA, B is a CMA, C is a IIM graduate, D is a company secretary, E is a MBA qualified person. Okay, na? MBA qualified person. Whether this partnership firm can act as an auditor for XYZ Limited. XYZ Limited is a company. ABC and Co is a partnership firm. In this partnership firm, who are there, Nana? A chartered accountant is there, one partner. Cost and management account is there, one partner. One IAM graduate is there, and company secretary is there, and MBA graduate also is there. All these people together, they opened one partnership firm, AB and Co. Whether this partnership firm can be appointed as an auditor, whether this partnership firm can be appointed as an auditor, the question is to XYZ Limited. The answer is yes or no. The answer is no. AB and Co cannot be appointed as an auditor. Why, sir? There is a chartered accountant in this firm, no, sir. Chartered accountant plus he is holding certificate of practice also. Chartered accountant and holding certificate of practice also he is holding. A is a chartered accountant as well as holding certificate of practice also. Still, this partnership firm cannot be appointed as an auditor in XYZ Limited. Why? Because there is a condition here. Partnership firm can be appointed as an auditor in the case of a company. But here the condition is majority of the partners should be what? CAs, and the majority of the partners should be a chartered accountant and they should practice in India. Majority of the partners should be chartered accountants and they should practice in India. Then only we can appoint the partnership firm as an auditor for XYZ Limited. Here in this partnership firm, where is the majority of partners are practicing? Majority of the partners, there is only one partner who is a chartered accountant plus practicing. Only this partner can be appointed as an auditor for XYZ Limited. Then what about the remaining partners? Remaining partners are not chartered accountant. They are having different qualifications, different professional qualifications. That is the reasons AB and Co cannot be appointed as an auditor for XYZ Limited. Let us take another one more example. Now in this example, you see AB and Co is a partnership firm. In this partnership firm, A, B, C, D are the partners. A is a chartered accountant, okay na, holding certificate of practice. B is a chartered accountant but not holding certificate of practice. C is a chartered accountant holding certificate of practice. CMA is a cost and management accountant holding certificate of practice. Okay na, whether CA and CMA combine together, whether they can open a partnership firm, they can provide services. The answer is yes. After the globalization from the last year onwards, there is amendment, Nana. A chartered accountant, cost and management accountant, company secretary, all these people together, they can open a partnership firm and they can act as a partners also. Why? Because the law is permitting is because when a client is approaching a chartered accountant, he required the service of a chartered accountant. And when he is approaching CMA, he required the service of CMA, he required the service of a company secretary, he required the service of a lawyer. That is the reason to make a globalization, to make the services, professional services globalization. For that purpose, the law has permitted to combine all these services together and they can provide services to the clients. Here, AB and Co is a partnership firm. In this partnership firm, A is a chartered accountant holding certificate of practice. B is also chartered accountant, he is not holding certificate of practice. C is a chartered accountant holding certificate of practice. CMA is a qualified professional holding certificate of practice. Whether AB and Co firm, they can act as a statutory auditor for XYZ. The answer is yes. He can act as a auditor for XYZ Limited. Why, sir? The reason is what here? Because the majority of the partners are practicing here. Out of 4 partners, 2 partners are practicing and another partner is also chartered accountant. That is the reason here AB and Co can act as a XYZ Limited. Then who has to sign the audit report in the case of a partnership firm, sir? In the case of a partnership firm, a qualified chartered accountant holding a certificate of practice can sign the audit report. In this case, either A can sign or C can sign audit report, not B. B cannot sign. Why? B is not holding certificate of practice. B is also a qualified chartered accountant but not holding certificate of practice. That is the reason only A and C can sign the audit report, and A and C can act as a auditor on behalf of AB and Co firm. On the behalf of AB and Co firm, here A or C can act as an auditor and he can sign the audit report. So this is the meaning of that sentence, Nana. Okay. Na? Next, third point, where a firm including a limited liability partnership firm is appointed as an auditor of the company, only the partners who are a chartered accountants shall be authorized to act and sign on behalf of the firm. Just now we saw when we are talking about a partnership firm, it will be extended to LLP also. In the case of limited liability partnership firm also, who can act, Nana? Only a chartered accountant holding a certificate of practice can act on behalf of the firm and he can sign the audit report, not other than that person. He is giving what is the meaning of a chartered accountant. Chartered accountant means what, Nana? A person who is a member of the institute. Yes, after qualifying a CA, after qualifying your CA, after undergoing the necessary trainings, you can become a member of the institute by paying certain amount of fees, Nana. You can pay a certain amount of fees and you can act as an auditor for that. You can act as a member of that institute. A person is a member of the institute if his name appears in the register of institute. Yes, any member who has become a chartered accountant, that person will be registered in that institute register, Nana. So if his name is containing in that register, then he can act as a chartered accountant. Next, the following persons shall be entitled to have his name entered on the registered. A person who is the same things will keep on repeating, Nana, not required. Just you keep in your mind, chartered accountant means what, Nana? A qualified chartered accountant holding a certificate of practice, he can act as a statutory auditor. Individual alone. Partnership firm, partner. Partnership firm, partner. That partner should possess, the partner must be qualified chartered accountant and he should hold certificate of practice, then only he can sign and act on behalf of the partnership firm. In the case of LLP also, same, Nana. So these are the qualifications of an auditor, Nana. So these are the qualifications of an auditor. Same thing he gave, Nana, in order to become a same thing. All these things are nothing but repeating things only, Nana. It's not even required a definition of a CA for us. In order to become the member of the institute, the aforesaid persons must reside in India or must be practiced in India. Definitely, he has to stay in India and he has to practice in India. Then only it is possible. If you are passing CA in India and if you want to go and practice in USA, it's not possible. Why? Because in USA, public accountant is known by another name, CPA. In USA, they will call it as a certified public accountant. That is different again. And the laws will be different. Any person who is passing CA, that will be applicable. That practice will be applicable only to India, not other countries. For any person outside India with all other requisite qualifications, central government or the institute may impose additional conditions. Definitely, if you are practicing outside India, then you have to qualify additional things. If you want to, after becoming a chartered accountant, if you want to practice in USA, it is not possible with this. Again, you have to become what, Nana? You have to qualify CPA. If you are qualifying as a certified public accountant, then you can operate your business, then you can operate your practice outside India also. Moreover, qualified persons will have to formally apply for the membership to the institute with requisite fees. Yes, after passing, definitely you have to pay a certain amount of fees like 4,000 or 5,000 rupees will be the fees. They will be calling for the convocation and they will give you a certificate of practice registration number. One registration number will be allocated to you as a chartered accountant. His name will be included in the register only if the application is accepted. Yes, if you are qualifying as a chartered accountant, definitely you will get a convocation, then you can get a registration number also. So what are the qualifications of an auditor, Nana? There are three qualifications. The three persons can be appointed as an auditor. Who are they, Nana? If they are asking you an exam, what are the qualifications of a company auditor? You need not to write everything, Nana. You need not to write everything. Just you need to record mainly 3 points. First person, an individual is eligible for appointing as an auditor only if he is a chartered accountant plus holding certificate of practice. And the second point you have to keep in your mind is what, Nana? A partnership firm can be appointed as an auditor, whereas the majority of the partners should be practicing in India and they should be a qualified professionals, and in that partnership firm, partner who is a qualified chartered accountant holding certificate of practice can sign audit report on behalf of the partnership firm. The same will be applicable to the LLP, limited liability partnership firm also same. Only a chartered accountant holding a certificate of practice can sign on behalf of the partnership firm. Next, Nana. These 3 points, if you write in the exam, it is enough, Nana. You need not to define again chartered accountant, what are the different ways, what are the different things, all these things you need not to define. That these things are for understanding purpose, not for writing in the exam. Okay. Next, what are the disqualifications of a company auditor? Just now we saw as per section 141 qualification. At the same way in the section 141 of the Companies Act, they had defined disqualifications also. In the exam, once again I am repeating, if you are remembering perfectly sections, then only write the section. If you have a doubt or if you have a dilemma that the section which you are going to write in the exam is correct or wrong, please do not attempt. Just you write as per the provisions, as per the prescribed provisions, that's all you mention it. Max to max how much they will cut, half mark they will cut, not more than that. But if you are writing a wrong section instead of right section, the total answer, high chances of the total answer may be striked off. The total answer may be striked off. So as per the section 141, section 141 deals with qualifications and disqualifications of the auditor, Nana. As per section 141 subsection 3, read with rule 10 of the company auditor rules 2014. So as per section 141 subsection 3 of the company audit rules 2014, Nana, the following persons are not eligible for appoint as an auditor of a company. The following persons are not eligible for appointing as an auditor for the company, Nana. First one is a body corporate. A body corporate cannot be appointed as an auditor of a company, Nana. Why a body corporate cannot be appointed? Only the reason is one thing. A body corporate is nothing but a company. How does a company is formed? By a company is a separate legal entity. By a legal existence it is formed. Suppose in the case of auditing, we are giving a minimum assurance to the client. In the case of auditing, what is the minimum assurance we are giving? The minimum assurance we are giving that the financial statements which is examined by a chartered accountant will exhibit a true and fair view which will be free from material misstatements and frauds. That is the opinion, minimum assurance which we are giving to the company. Then in that case, if a company itself is appointed as an auditor, a company is a separate legal entity which do not have a normal existence. It is formed by a legal existence only. A company is formed by a legal existence only. Tomorrow if anything happens, tomorrow if anything goes wrong, then what happens? The company will file a suit against this body corporate. And what is the answer? The body corporate, that person will say, go and ask that legal entity person only. That person is not a natural person. That person is an artificial person. That is the reason we are avoiding body corporate to act as an auditor. Why? Because if anything goes wrong, we cannot hold that artificial person and we cannot inquire, we cannot ask him anything. That is the reason it will be act as a loophole for the people. That is the reason a body corporate is not eligible for to act as an auditor. Even a partnership firm can act as an auditor, limited liability partnership firm also they can act as an auditor, but a body corporate cannot act as an auditor because of its separate legal existence. Next, second one, an officer or employee of the company. An officer can act as an officer or employee of the company. He is also disqualified to act as an auditor. So what is the meaning of this officer or employee, sir? Let us see, Nana, with examples. Sir, who is called as an officer of a company, sir? A key managerial person is called as an officer. Board of directors is called as an officer. Manager is called as an officer. CEO, CFO, independent director, all these people can act as all these people will be called as an officer. So officer is not eligible. An officer is not eligible to act as an auditor, Nana. First one is what, Nana? Key managerial person. A key managerial person is nothing but you are the key person of a company. You are the key person of a company. For your company, yourself, you cannot be appointed as an auditor, Nana. Why? Because here independence will be compromised. Auditor is a person. Auditor is a independent person who will examine the books of accounts and express his opinion thereon. So key manager, you are a key managerial person of the company and you are going to audit your company by yourself. In that case, what happens? Independence will be compromised and these things and the audit and audit definition will get audit definition will not get survived. That is the reason key manager person is not allowed to act as an auditor. Next, board of directors. Board of directors are also not eligible to act as an auditor. Why? Because board of director is also one main important person who will involve the operations of the company. Next, manager. Manager is a person, he is also main important person who will manage the affairs of the company. That person also is not eligible to act as an auditor of the same company. Even CEO, CFO, independent directors, all these people are disqualified to appoint as an auditor of that company. Next, employee. Officer or employee. Employee means what, Nana? You are working. See here, let us take one example. X is a chartered accountant. Working in XYZ Limited. X is a chartered accountant and he is working as an employee in XYZ Limited. Whether this X can be appointed as an auditor. Whether this X can be appointed as an auditor. The answer is no. He cannot be appointed as an auditor for XYZ Limited. Why? X is an employee, he is already working in that company. If this X has been appointed as an auditor, definitely his independence will be compromised. His independence, his freedom of audit, freedom of nature will get compromised in that company, and he cannot give true and fairness of the financial statements. He cannot give his opinion on true and fairness of financial statements. That is the reason when X is a chartered accountant, he is working as an employee in that company, then we cannot delegate this audit to this person. Why? Because independence will get compromised here. That is the reason he would be disqualified to be act as an auditor. So disqualification, what is the second point? An officer or employee of a company cannot act as an auditor. Nana. Officer means what, Nana? Here the definition of officer covers key managerial person, board of directors, managers, CEO, CFO, independent director. All these people are covered under the definition of officer. All these people are not eligible to act as an auditor. Only the main reason is what, Nana? Independency, freedom will get compromised. You yourself, how can you audit? You yourself, how can you depict the true and fairness of the financial statements? And apart from that, employee, if a person is working as an employee in XYZ Limited, then that person also cannot be appointed as an auditor. Why? You yourself is working as an employee. Then if the audit is given to you, you will be under the influence of the management. You will be under the influence of the management, and you may not give proper report. You may not give the proper report also. Next point, Nana. A person who is a partner or who is in employment of an officer or employee of the company. So what they are saying, Nana, a person who is a partner or who is in employment of an officer or employment of the company. So what is the meaning of this sentence, Nana? Let us see. There is a company called XYZ Limited. Okay. XYZ Limited is one company, ABC and Co is a partnership firm. XYZ Limited is a company, ABC and Co is a partnership firm. Okay, na? Now, whether this ABC and Co, this A is now this A is a chartered accountant. A is a chartered accountant. Okay, na? Holding certificate of practice. A is a chartered accountant holding certificate of practice. Okay, na? Now this A can work as A is working as an employee in XYZ Limited. A is working as an employee. Employee means what? In the last class we discussed. A chartered accountant, after passing, only two options. So either he can go for job, either he can go for practice. Practice and job both are not possible at a time, but there are some relaxations here. For a chartered accountant holding certificate of practice, there are some relaxations here. Let us assume this person is working as a part-time employee. This person is working as a part-time employee in this XYZ Limited. Okay now, and he is working. A is also working as a partner in ABC and Co partnership firm. In ABC and Co, he is working as a partner. Now, whether this ABC and Co can be appointed as an auditor. Whether this ABC and Co can be appointed as an auditor. The question is whether this ABC and Co can be appointed as an auditor. The answer is no. ABC and Co cannot be. ABC and Co cannot be appointed as an auditor for XYZ Limited. Why, sir? Why? Because A is an employee in the XYZ Limited. Now, in the point number 2, what did we studied? When a person is an employee of a company, then this person is not eligible to become an auditor. Then what A is doing now? Oh, if I am working as an employee of XYZ Limited, you are not allowing me to act as an auditor. Now A has joined in a partnership firm ABC and Co, and through this partnership firm, he is sending this partnership firm as an auditor for this XYZ Limited. Still, this partnership firm cannot be appointed as an auditor. Why, sir? Why? Because A is a partner in that ABC and Co. Still, financial interest is there in that partnership firm. A is working as an employee in the XYZ Limited, and A is working as a partner in that partnership firm. So, still A can influence that firm. Still, A can influence that firm, and this firm will lose independence while auditing. The firm will lose independence while auditing. That is the reason this ABC and Co partnership firm cannot be appointed as an auditor of a XYZ Limited. This is the case. Next, second case. XYZ Limited is a one company. Let us see the second case. XYZ Limited is a company. In this company B, Mr. B is a board of director in this XYZ Limited company. Mr. B is a what, Nana? Board of director in this XYZ Limited company. And B is working as an employee in ABC Private Limited company. In the ABC Private Limited company, B is also working as an employee. Whether this ABC Private Limited can be appointed as an auditor. Here, when B is working as a board of director in XYZ Limited, he is disqualified to act as an auditor. He is disqualified to act as an auditor, being he is an officer. He is an officer. That is the reason he is disqualified to act as an auditor. Now, what he is doing? Now, B is working as an employee in ABC Limited, and this ABC Limited is conducting an audit for the XYZ Limited. Whether it is possible? Still, the answer is no. ABC Limited cannot act as an auditor for XYZ Limited. Why? Because B is an employee of ABC Private Limited and B may influence ABC Private Limited. B may influence ABC Private Limited regarding financial freedom of XYZ Limited. That is the reason here ABC Private Limited also cannot be acting as a auditor for XYZ Limited. So these are the cases, Nana. That is what they are trying to say. A person who is a partner, who is in employment of an officer or employee of the company. Means if you are a partner in one partnership firm, then that partnership firm is automatically disqualified to act as an auditor. Next, if you are working as an employee in XYZ company, then the XYZ company is also disqualified to act as an auditor. Why? Because in the disqualification, the act is saying only one thing: wherever the independence of the auditor is compromised, then auditor is automatically disqualified. In the examination, you have to keep only one thing in your mind. In the examination, we have to keep only one thing in our mind. What is the point we have to keep in our mind? When the independency of the auditor is compromised. When the independency of the auditor is compromised, automatically, the auditor is also disqualified to appoint as an auditor for that company. That's all you have to keep in your mind. Next, a person who or his relative or partner. What they are trying to say, Nana? A person who is a who or his relative is a partner. Means what is the meaning of this sentence, Nana? Simple. See here. Suppose your relative is there. Your relative is there. ABC Private Limited. You are a chartered accountant holding certificate of practice. Okay, na? And you got an audit of XYZ Limited. In that XYZ Limited, Y is your relative. In that XYZ Limited, who is your relative? Y is a relative. Then in that case, you are automatically disqualified to act as an auditor for XYZ Limited. Why? Because your relative is there in that XYZ Limited. Your relative is there in that XYZ Limited. That is the reason your independence may be compromised because of Y. Why? Because Y is a relative in that company. That is the reason you cannot act as an auditor for that company. Next, he is saying partner. Same example, let us continue. A is a chartered accountant holding certificate of practice. He got an opportunity of an audit for XYZ Limited. X is a partner of A. X is a partner of A. Then in that case, X is a partner of A. Here A is disqualified to act as an auditor for that XYZ Limited. Why? In that XYZ Limited company, X is a partner of whom? A. That is the reason again independence will get compromised. For that reason, A is disqualified to act as an auditor when a person is a relative or a partner. Next, a person who or his relative or a partner is holding any security of or interest in the company or its subsidiary company or its holding company or its associate company or subsidiary of such holding company of a face value not exceeding rupees 1 lakh. Means, see here, Nana. So here what is the disqualification they are trying to say is simple. If any person is holding securities and investment, if a person is holding securities or investment in a company, which company? I will give one example, try to understand. See here, X is a chartered accountant holding certificate of practice. If X has invested in shares of Tata Limited, X has invested what? X has invested in shares of Tata Limited. Tata Limited is a one company. He has got an opportunity of audit here. Okay, na? Whether X can be appointed as an auditor or not. Okay, na? To decide that if X is a chartered accountant holding certificate of practice, if he is invested in the shares of Tata Limited, then he is disqualified to act as an auditor. He is disqualified to act as an auditor for Tata Limited. Why? Why? Because he is interested. He has invested in the shares of the company. He may influence the decision of that company. Why? Because he is also one of the investor in that company. Next, Y, partner of X. He is also invested in shares. X and Y are the partners, Nana. Okay, Y is a partner of X. He is also invested in the shares of Tata Limited. Whether this X will be eligible to act as an auditor? The answer is no. X is not eligible to act as an auditor in the case of Tata Limited. Why, sir? When I am investing in the shares of Tata Limited, I am disqualified to act as an auditor. When my partner is investing in that company, why I am disqualified, sir? Because your partner has invested the shares in that company, means your partner is having interest. When your partner is having interest in that company, your automatically independence will get compromised. That is the reason. In that case, if your partner is also holding shares in that company, then you will be disqualified to act as an auditor. Now, not partner, relatives of X is holding shares in that Tata Limited. Relatives of X is holding shares in Tata Limited. Then how much they can hold, sir? They can hold up to the now Z is there. Z is a relative of X. Who is Z, Nana? Z is a relative of X. He is holding, if he is holding up to the face value of rupees 1 lakh shares in the Tata Limited, now X is eligible to act as an auditor. The answer is yes. If he is holding more than 1 lakh shares, who is holding? Z. Who is Z? Z is a relative of X. Z is a relative of X. If Z is holding shares in Tata Limited up to face value of 1 lakh rupees, then X will be eligible to act as an auditor. Suppose if Z is holding more than 1 lakh, sir, if Z is holding more than 1 lakh, sir, then what is the situation? If Z is holding, let us take 3 situations here, then you will understand clearly. Let us take now 3 situations, Nana. Now let us assume Z is a relative of X. Z is a relative of X. X is a chartered accountant holding certificate of practice. Now Z is a relative of X. Okay, now this Z has invested in the shares of Tata Limited. The Z has invested in the shares of Tata Limited. Let us take up 3 situations. Let us analyze one by one. Now, Z has invested shares in the Tata Limited and holding face value of rupees how much, Nana? 90,000. What is the value of the shares which X is holding, which Z is holding, Nana? So, the value of the shares which Z is holding is just rupees, face value is rupees 90,000. Then in that case, yes, auditor is eligible. Auditor is eligible to appoint. Why, sir? In the case of relative, one relief is given here. In the case of relative, one relief is given here. In the case of relative, that relative can invest up to rupees 1 lakh face value of shares in that company which the auditor is going to take up. Why? Because nowadays everyone will be investing in the mutual funds, shares, and all. That is a very quite common thing. That is the reason here relaxation is given in the case of a relative. If the relative is going to invest in that company up to the face value of rupees 1 lakh, then in that case auditor is eligible. That is, there is no issue. Next, second situation, holding market value of rupees 3 lakhs. Whatever the shares which is holding in that Tata Limited is 3 lakhs rupees market value, and the face value of those shares is 80,000. Whether the auditor is eligible or not eligible, the answer is yes. The auditor is eligible to act as an auditor. No, sir, he is holding the market value of the shares is rupees 3 lakhs. Yes, for making the decision here, market value of the shares is not considered, only face value of the shares is considered here. So here relative can hold the face value of shares up to rupees 1 lakh. So 80,000 is less than 1 lakh. That is the reason here auditor is eligible to act as an auditor for that company. Next, holding face value of rupees 1,80,000 shares, sir, at the time of taking the audit. At the time of taking the audit, one of his relative Z, he is holding face value of how much, Nana? 1,80,000 rupees shares. That is nothing but exceeding rupees 1 lakh. So whether he is not eligible to act as an auditor, sir? No. The answer is no. Here he is eligible to act as an auditor. So it is crossing above 1 lakh, no, sir? It is crossing above 1 lakh, na? Then how come he is eligible to act as an auditor, sir? Here few relaxations are given. In the case of relative, if a relative is holding more than 1 lakh rupees face value of the shares, some relaxations are given. What is the relaxations are given to the auditor? You see here. Here, when auditor is joining, when the auditor is going to take up the assignment of audit, then in that case, if relative is holding any if the relative is holding any shares which is greater than rupees 1 lakh, in that case an opportunity is given to the auditor. So auditor has to inform his relative saying that he is going to take up the audit of that company. Then he has to request him to sell the shares of rupees excess of rupees 1 lakh. He has to request the relative to sale. He has to request the relative to sell in excess of rupees 1 lakh within 60 days. If the relative is selling these shares within 60 days, then he is eligible to act as an auditor. No, beyond 60 days, still he did not sell the shares, then he is not eligible to act as an auditor. Beyond 60 days, he is not eligible to act as an auditor. He is disqualified to be act as an auditor. He has to resign and he has to exit the audit. So this is the situation of shares, Nana. This is the situation of shares. So let us recap once, Nana. Let us recap once this situation, Nana. Okay, na? Now you see, Nana, if X is a chartered accountant holding a certificate of practice, if either himself or his partner or relative holding, either himself or his partner or his relative holding any shares in the company holding in excess of rupees 1 lakh, then in that case that person will be disqualified to act as an auditor. X is a chartered accountant holding certificate of practice. This 1 lakh limit is not applicable to X and Y in this example, sir. No. If X is holding any shares in the Tata Limited, then he is completely disqualified to act as an auditor, Nana. He is completely disqualified. And here Y is a partner. Y is a partner of X and Y is also holding shares in Tata Limited. Then in that case, if he is holding single rupee also, again X is disqualified to act as an auditor. Now Z is a relative of X. Here some relaxations are given in the case of relative. Here some relaxations are given in the case of a relative. In the case of a relative, if a relative is holding any shares in the auditing company, in the case of Tata Limited here, up to the face value of rupees 1 lakh they can hold. If they are holding greater than rupees 1 lakh, then the auditor will give you an opportunity within 60 days that whatever the excess value of more than 1 lakh will be there, that relative has to sell, then he will be eligible to continue as auditor. If it is not the case, then the auditor has to resign and the auditor has to exit the auditor. So these are the points which we have to keep in our mind, Nana. Next, a person who or his relative or a partner is indebted to the company or its a subsidiary company or its holding company. So here basically we can call it as a group company, Nana. We can call it as a group company. In this point, 3 points, whatever the specified 3 points are there, in these 3 points we can call it as a group company. Group company means what, Nana? You cannot invest in holding company, holding subsidiary company. So we can write like this here. A person or partner or his relative cannot invest indebted guarantee in holding company, holding का subsidiary company, in associate company, in the subsidiary का holding company. In all these companies, the auditor cannot investment, Nana. So that is nothing but these things will call it as a which company? Group company. Means if you cannot invest in holding, that holding a subsidiary and its associate companies. In all these companies you cannot invest, either you cannot indebted or you can guarantee also. So let us see the second point in here. A partner, a person who or his relative or a partner is indebted to the company or its subsidiary company or its holding associate company or subsidiary of such holding company in excess of rupees 5 lakhs. Means at any point of time, either you or your relative or your partner is indebted to that company, then in that case you are disqualified to act as an auditor. Let us see one example for that. See here, Nana. Now HDFC Bank is there. What is the role of HDFC Bank, Nana? They will grant loans to the public and they will accept the deposits from the public. Generally, they will accept the deposits from the public. They will grant the loans also to the public. Now, X is a chartered accountant holding certificate of practice. Okay, now X took a loan of 20 lakhs from HDFC Bank, Nana. X took a loan of how much, Nana? 20 lakhs from HDFC Bank. Whether X will be eligible to act as an auditor of HDFC Bank, Nana? The answer is no. Why? Because he is indebted to that HDFC Bank Limited. He is indebted to HDFC Bank Limited more than 5 lakhs. That is the reason he is disqualified to act as an auditor. Now, why? He is a partner of X. Y is a what, Nana? Partner of X, and he is indebted to the company. He is also taken a loan, construction loan he has taken, and there is an outstanding loan of rupees 3 lakhs. Outstanding loan of how much, Nana? 3 lakhs. Here, this person though, he is disqualified to act as an auditor. This person though disqualified to act as an auditor. Now, Y is a partner of X and he is having an outstanding loan in that HDFC Bank Limited. How much, Nana? 3 lakhs rupees. How much loan is there, Nana? 3 lakhs rupees is there. Whether this Y, whether now X is eligible to take up the HDFC Bank auditor or whether he is qualified or disqualified. The answer is yes. He is eligible to take up the audit. He is eligible to take up the audit here. In the case of first case, X is not eligible to take up the audit. Why? Because he is indebted to the company. How much, Nana? HDFC Bank Limited, he is indebted more than 20, so he is indebted 20 lakhs. That is nothing but in excess of 5 lakhs. That is the reason he is not eligible and he is not eligible to act as an auditor. Whereas in the case of Y is a partner of X. Y is a what, Nana? Partner of X. In that case, he is having an outstanding loan. How much, Nana? 3 lakhs. 3 lakhs is nothing but less than 5 lakhs. Then he is eligible to act as an auditor here. X is eligible to act as an auditor. Now Z, he is a relative of X. Now Z, he is a relative of X. He has taken a loan of rupees 1 crore from HDFC Bank Limited. He has taken a loan of how much, Nana? 1 crore rupees from HDFC Bank Limited. Whether this X, now whether he is eligible to act as an auditor means the answer is no. The answer is what? No. Because X is disqualified to act as an auditor. Why? Because Z is a relative of X and he is having outstanding loan of how much, Nana? 1 crore rupees. That is nothing but in excess of 5 lakhs. That is the reason he is not eligible to act as an auditor, Nana. So this is the example of indebted instrument, Nana. Either he should not hold, either his partner should not hold, or either his relative should not hold any loan or any indebt greater than in excess of 5 lakhs. If they are holding debt to the bank in excess of 5 lakhs, then these persons are disqualified to act as an auditor, Nana. That is the meaning of second point. Let us see the third point, Nana. A person who or his relative or partner has given a guarantee or provided any security in connection with the indebtedness of third person to the company or its subsidiary company or its holding company or its associate company in excess of rupees 1 lakh. So here what they are trying to say, Nana, here they are trying to say that if yourself you are giving guarantee to a person, okay na, and your relative is giving a guarantee to a person and your partner is giving a guarantee to a person in excess of rupees 1 lakh, then in that case you are disqualified to act as an auditor. Let us see in the case of example and you will understand. D is a person, Nana. He has taken a loan of rupees 2 lakhs from Muthoot Finance Limited. Okay, na? D is a person. He has taken a loan of how much, Nana? 2 lakhs rupees loan from the Muthoot Finance Limited. Now, A gave guarantee to D. Who is giving guarantee to D, Nana? A gave guarantee to D. Means in the case if D is defaulted to repay the loan amount to the Muthoot Finance Limited, then who is going to pay, Nana? A is going to pay. Why? Because he has given the guarantee to Muthoot Finance Limited. Then in that case, A is disqualified to act as an auditor here. A is disqualified to act as an auditor. Now, who gave the guarantee, Nana? B gave the guarantee. Who is this B? Partner of A. Who is this B, Nana? Partner of A. This B is a partner of A and he gave guarantee to D, Nana. Then in that case, A will be disqualified to act as an auditor of the Muthoot Finance Limited. Why? In this case, if D is not going to repay the loan, who is going to pay the loan? B is going to pay the loan. Who is B? Partner of A. That is the reason here B is also disqualified to act as an auditor, Nana. Next is C. C is giving guarantee to D. Who is C? Relative of A. Who is C, Nana? Relative of A. In these cases, C has given guarantee to D of rupees 2 lakhs. If D is not going to pay, who is going to pay? C. Who is C? Relative of A. Then in that case here, A is also disqualified to act as an auditor in this case also. Means simple thing we have to keep in our mind, either yourself or your partner or your relative is giving guarantee to any third party. In the case of default of the third party, you or yourself or your partner or relative is going to pay the amount. In that case, you cannot act as an auditor for such companies. You are disqualified to act as an auditor for those companies. So these are the points which we have to keep in our mind in the case of guarantee, Nana. So a person, so what is the third point, Nana? A person or his relative or a partner, either they are investing in the shares, either they are giving guarantee, either they are indebted. In that cases, this chartered accountant will be disqualified to act as an auditor, Nana. First case is what, Nana? Investment in shares. Either himself is investing in the shares of a company, disqualified. His partner is investing in the shares, disqualified. Relative, relaxation is given. What is the relaxation is given in the case of relative? In the case of relative, the relaxation which is given here is, the relaxation in the case of relaxation, the In the case of relative, the relaxation is given here is the relative can invest in the shares of a company up to the face value of rupees 1 lakh. If he is investing in above of rupees 1 lakh, in that case, whatever the amount which is invested above rupees 1 lakh, the auditor will be given an opportunity within a 60 days that relative has to sell in excess value whatever he is holding more than 1 lakh. Then in that case he is eligible. If he is not going to sell within 60 days also, then he is to be disqualified to act as an auditor. Next, indebtor. If they are indebted to any financial institution or bank or any institution more than in excess of rupees 5 lakhs, either himself or his partner or his relative, if they are indebted to any financial institution or any bank or any institution in excess of rupees 5 lakhs, then they are also disqualified to act as an auditor. Then in the third case, either himself or his partner has relative or guarantee or giving guarantee to a third party. In the failure of repayment by a third party, these people will be responsible in the value of excess of rupees 1 lakh. Then these people are disqualified to act as an auditor. So all these are the cases where the partner is disqualified, where the person is disqualified to act as an auditor, Nana. So go through once, Nana. Okay, Nana. Let us see the next point, Nana. So we have finished with a person or himself or his relative or a partner, either he is indebted, either he is invested in the shares of a company, either they are giving guarantee to any third party. In all those 3 points we have covered, Nana. And the next one is a person or a firm who, whether directly or indirectly, has business relationship. Which relationship, Nana? A person or a firm, whether directly or indirectly they are having business relationship with the company, or it's a subsidiary, or it's a holding company, or it's a subsidiary company, such a holding company or associate company as may be prescribed, they are also disqualified to act as an auditor, Nana. So what is the meaning here, business relationship? What is the meaning here, business relationship? What do you mean by What do you mean by business relationship? Business relationship is nothing but, suppose X is a chartered accountant. Okay, na? Kalyani Motors is a company which they are dealing with cars. Kalyani Motors is a company they are dealing cars. X has purchased a car from Kalyani Motors. Okay, na? For rupees 10 lakhs. For rupees 10 lakhs. Market price of car is rupees 10 lakhs 20,000. What is the market price of the car? 10 lakhs 20,000. And X purchased this car for rupees 10 lakhs. That is nothing but he purchased at 20,000 rupees less, like that he has received a discount. Now, is there any business relationship between X and Y? Is there any business relationship between X and Y? The answer is no. There is no business relationship. X is a customer, Y Kalyani Motors is a seller. They sold a car to the X, they purchased a car at 20,000 rupees less. That's all. There is no business relationship between X and Kalyani Motors. This is only called, this price which purchased by chartered accountant, this is called as a arm length price. This price, what we will call it as, this price we will call it as a arm length price, business arm length price. Arm length is not nothing but market price is 10 lakhs 20. He purchased at 10 lakhs. That is nothing but he negotiated and he got a discount of 20,000. Here we cannot say there is a business relationship between X and Kalyani Motors. He is a customer and he is a seller. That's all. Now, with the same example, X has purchased a car from Kalyani Motors. How much is the purchase price? 6 lakhs. But the market price of the car is how much? Rupees 10 lakhs. How much is the market price? 10 lakhs. Then in this case, he got a discount of rupees how much? Rupees 4 lakhs. He got a discount of rupees how much? 4 lakhs. In this case, we can say that there is a business relationship. In this case, which relationship existed? Business relationship is existed here. There is a business relationship which is existed here in the case of X and Kalyani Motors. Why? Because here X is a chartered accountant. He purchased the car for how much, Nana? He has purchased the car for 6 lakhs. But what is the market price of the car? 10 lakhs. What is the discount which is offered by Kalyani Motors? 4 lakhs. Generally, any company, they will offer a discount of 4 lakhs. Generally, no car company, they will offer a discount of 4 lakhs. That is nothing but he is getting a discount. Why? Because here X is trying to do some favor to the Kalyani Motors, and Kalyani Motors, they are planning to give audit to the X, and X is planning to cover, X is going to compromise his independence, and X is going to hide some information of Kalyani Motors. That is the reason here Kalyani Motors are giving a discount of rupees 4 lakhs to the X. In this case, which relationship is existed? Business relationship is existed. Then when the business relationship is existed, he is disqualified to act as an auditor. When there is a business relationship is existed between the client, then in that case, what is a disqualified? Now, X is disqualified to act as an auditor. Here in the case number 1, X is purchasing the car for 10 lakhs. There is no business relationship here. That is the reason X is qualified. Here X is qualified to act as an auditor here. So this is the meaning of business relationship. Now, a business relationship is nothing but what is the technical definition which is given here? ICMI. For this purpose, the term business relationship construed and any transaction entered into for a commercial purpose. If they are entering into any transaction for commercial purpose, then we will call it as a business relationship. So a commercial transaction which are in the ordinary course of business of the company at our arm length price, like sale of products or sale of services to the auditor as a customer. So commercial transaction which are entered in the normal ordinary course. In the example number 1, auditor is purchasing like a customer, not like a client. Not like a client, he is purchasing just like a customer. The market price of the car is 10 lakhs 20,000, but the auditor is purchasing for how much? Just like a normal customer, he is purchasing for 10 lakhs. There is no business relationship between the X and between the Kalyani Motors, because they are purchasing at a arm length price. Arm length price is nothing but a reasonable price only he is purchasing. So there is no business relationship. But in the second situation, if you see, the market price of the car is 10 lakhs, but he is going to purchase the car only for 6 lakhs. That is nothing but he is giving a heavy discount of 4 lakhs. Why? Because X and Kalyani Motors, they got into an agreement that X is planning to do some favor to Kalyani Motors. That is the reason what they are trying to do. His independence will get compromised here. That is the reason X is disqualified to act as an auditor here. Okay, now next, a person whose relative is a director or is an employment of a company or as a director, as a key managerial person, means a person whose relative is your relative as acting as a director in XYZ Limited, then you are disqualified to act as an auditor. Your employee is a director in that company. Mr. X is a person working as an employee with you, and this X is a director in that company, then in that case also you are disqualified to act as an auditor. Why? When he is working as an employee with you, definitely he will be under your influence. He will be under your influence. Your independence will be compromised. That is the reason you are disqualified. And a key managerial person, a person who is a key managerial person in that company is a relative, and in that case also then you will be disqualified to act as an auditor. So disqualification is simple thing. Only one word you have to keep in your mind. If the independence of the auditor is compromised in any situation, auditor is disqualified. Blind hint which we can keep in our mind is, if the independence of the auditor is disqualified, he is disqualified to act as an auditor. That's what we can keep in our mind. Okay, now a person who is in full-time employment elsewhere, or a person or a partner of a holding appointment as its auditor, if such persons or partner is at the date of such appointment or reappointment holding appointment as an auditor for more than 20 companies, there is a ceiling limit. A person who is a qualified chartered accountant holding a certificate of practice, the maximum number of audits which he can audit is not more than 20 companies. Maximum number of audits, how much he can audit? 20 companies. Important MCQ question they will keep on asking in the exam. Important MCQ question they will be keep on asking in the exam, Nana. A person who is a qualified chartered accountant holding a certificate of practice, maximum he can hold how many audits, Nana? 20 audits, not more than 20 audits. He can hold his maximum only 20 audits. Ceiling limit is there. So why, sir, after studying such a high professional course like chartered accountant after becoming qualified person. Why? There is a ceiling limit on the number of audits in the case of person chartered accountant, because if a person is auditing more number of audits, quality of the work will get compromised. What will get compromised? No, quality of the work. If a person is auditing hundreds of companies, where he can focus? He is not a robot, right? He cannot focus at a time 100 companies. Where is the quality of the work which we can expect from the auditor? That is the reason. What is the Companies Act saying? The Companies Act is saying that a person who is a qualified chartered accountant holding a certificate of practice, maximum number of audits which he can go for is company audit, which he can go for company audit is how much, Nana? 20 companies, not more than 20 companies. Okay, now. Is there any exceptions to these 20 companies, sir? Yes. Is there any exception to this 20 company audit? Says there are exceptions. We will see in the further, Nana. Okay, now. A person who has been convicted by a court of an offence involving fraud and a period of 10 years has not been lapsed from the date of such conviction, that person also disqualified to act as an auditor. Okay, now. So, what is the meaning of this sentence, sir? This sentence is nothing but Mr. X is a chartered accountant. He has convicted a fraud. Criminal case is different, fraud case is different, Nana. If he is convicting criminal case and he has got a bail and he is out of the jail, still he can act as an auditor. Still he can act as an auditor. What I am saying, listen carefully. Fraud is different, criminal case is different. Suppose X is a chartered accountant. X has a fought with his brother and then he went to jail and he came out of the jail. Now whether he can act as an auditor or whether he is sees it to be act as an auditor, the answer is no, he can act as an auditor. Criminal case is different from fraud case. Criminal case is different from fraud case, Nana. So a person who has been convicted by the court as a fraudulent person, a person who has been convicted by the court as a which person, Nana? Fraudulent person. Then this person is elapsed, this person is restricted to do an audit for a period of 10 years from the date of such conviction. From the date of such conviction, he is elapsed to act as an auditor for a period of how many years, Nana? 10 years. That also they will ask in the exam, MCQ question, Nana. That also they can ask in the exam, MCQ question, Nana. Very important. Okay, na? Criminal cases different, fraudulent cases are different, Nana. Criminal cases, he can act as an auditor. There is no restriction. But in the case of fraudulent cases only, he cannot act as an auditor for a period of 10 years from the date of such conviction. From the date of such conviction, he cannot act as an auditor for how many years, Nana? 10 years. Next, a person who is directly or indirectly rendering any services referred to section 144. Referred to section 144. Section 144 deals with what, Nana? Section 144 deals with the prohibited services of an auditor. A person who is a qualified chartered accountant holding certificate of practice is prohibited to provide services to the client when he wants to act as an auditor of the same company. When he wants to act as an auditor for the same company, he is prohibited to provide certain services which are defined under section 144 of the Companies Act 2013. Suppose if an auditor is providing the services which are defined under section 144, then automatically he is disqualified to act as an auditor for the same company. Either it's a principal company, holding company or subsidiary company. Any company, if he is providing such services, then he is disqualified to act as an auditor. So what are the services which are covered under section 144? Very important question, Nana. They can ask in the exam for 5 marks. So here there is nothing like important, not important, Nana. Why? Because qualification is also important, disqualification is also important. From anywhere he can ask the exam. Why? Because this small topic is only for 30 marks. We cannot say this is important, that is important. If there is a many number of topics, at least we can say. So according to the section 144 of the Companies Act 2013, an auditor appointed under this act shall provide to the company only such other services are approved by the board of directors or audit committee as the case may be. However, such services shall not include the following services, whether rendered directly or indirectly to the company or its holding company or its subsidiary company. So according to the section 144 of the Companies Act 2013. According to the section 144 of the Companies Act 2013, here auditor is prohibited. Here auditor is prohibited to provide certain services. Auditor is prohibited to provide certain services, Nana. certain services either directly or indirectly to the company which he is going to take up the audit. If he has provided the services which is mentioned in the section 144, then he is disqualified to act as an auditor. Sir, whether he has to provide the services directly or indirectly? Yes. If he is providing the services which is mentioned in section 144 either directly or indirectly, he is disqualified to act as an auditor. These services which are mentioned under section 144, they will call it as which services, Nana? Prohibited services. What are those services, Nana? Let us see one by one. First one is accounting of bookkeeping services. If an auditor is providing accounting or bookkeeping services, that is covered under section 144. If an auditor is conducting internal audit, then also it is prohibited, Nana. Why? Because you yourself has accounted bookkeeping services. You yourself has conducted accounting as well as bookkeeping services. Then what audit you will do? What audit you will do? You have done the accounting and bookkeeping services. You are verifying yourself. You are verifying yourself. In that case, independence may be compromised and you may be under the influence of the management. That is the reason. So you are disqualified here. Second one, internal audit. You have already conducted as an internal audit. Still, you cannot act as a statutory audit. Why? Internal audit and statutory auditor both should be different persons. Both cannot be the same persons here. Design and implementation of any financial information system. If you are providing a service of designing, implementation and financial service system, then also you are disqualified. Actuarial services. Actuarial is nothing but valuation services. If you are providing any valuation services to the client, then you are also disqualified. Investment advisory services. If you are providing any investment advisory services, in that case also it is covered under section 144. Investment banking services, where you have to investment suggestions you are making to the client, that is also covered under section 144. Rendering of outsourced financial services. You took a outsource from that client for during third party accounting, third party auditing, third party verification. Those kind of third party outsourcing services you have rendered, that is also covered under section 144. Management services, you took up the management services also, that is also covered under section 144, or any other kind of services as may be prescribed. If an auditor is providing the above mentioned services which is covered under section 144, he is disqualified to act as an auditor. So these are the points which are covered under the disqualifications of an auditor, Nana. Okay, na? Let us revise once qualifications and disqualifications of an auditor, Nana. So these qualifications and disqualification of auditor, they can ask for 7 marks question in the examination, Nana. Both together they can ask for 7 marks. Single question they may not ask for 7 marks, but both together they can ask for 7 marks in the examination, Nana. So qualification of an auditor, you have to cover 3 points, Nana. First point is what, Nana? An individual can be appointed as an auditor. When he can be appointed as an auditor? Only when he is a chartered accountant holding a certificate of practice, then that person can be appointed as an auditor. And the second point you have to keep in your mind is partnership firm can be appointed as a partnership firm can be appointed as an auditor of a company when the majority of the partners in the partnership firm are practicing in India. When the majority of the partners they are practicing in India, then in that case we can appoint those persons as an auditor. And a partnership firm which is a limited liability partnership firm, when a firm including limited liability partnership firm, they can also be appointed as a auditor of the company because the majority of the partners are chartered accountant holding a certificate of practice. Then who can sign the audit report in the case of a partnership firm? In the case of a partnership firm, active partner who is a chartered accountant holding certificate of practice, only that person can engage, that person can sign the audit report on behalf of the audit firm. No other person is eligible. No other person is eligible to sign the audit report here. Let us once revise what are the qualifications and disqualifications of an auditor. So qualifications and disqualifications of an auditor has been defined under the section 141 of the Companies Act 2013. So coming to the qualifications, majorly you have to cover 3 points. The point number 1 is what, Nana? An individual can be appointed as an auditor of the company provided he is a chartered accountant, he is a qualified chartered accountant and he should hold certificate of practice. Second, a partnership firm can be appointed as an auditor, but majority of the partners in the partnership firm should be a practicing chartered accountant. Then only in that case the partnership firm can be appointed as an auditor. Then who can sign the audit report in the case of a partnership firm? In the case of a partnership firm, partner holding a certificate of practice can sign the audit report on behalf of the partnership firm. In the case of limited liability partnership firm also same. Majority of the partners should practice in India, and a chartered accountant holding a certificate of practice can sign the audit report on behalf of the LLP. So these are the majority three qualifications an auditor is eligible here. And coming to the disqualifications of an auditor, the first point is a body corporate cannot be appointed as an auditor. Why a body corporate cannot be appointed as an auditor? Only the main reason here is the body corporate is a separate legal entity. We cannot hold the separate legal entity because the legal entity is an artificial person. We cannot hold it. That is the reason this body corporate cannot be appointed as an auditor. And the second one is officer or employee of the company. Officer means what here? An officer can be a board of director, key managerial person, manager, CEO, CFO, anything. An officer, the definition of officer covers all these people. If these people are working as a board of director, if these people are working as an officer of the same company, how these people can be appointed? Because independency will get compromised here. Independence will get compromised. That is the reason an officer, or if a person is working as an employee in the company, for the same company, he cannot be appointed as an auditor because of the compromisation of independence. Next, a person who is a partner, either his relative, either a person himself or his partner or his relative is holding security or interest or invested in the shares of the company exceeding face value of rupees 1 lakh. In that case, that person will be disqualified to act as an auditor. In this case, if we discuss in depth, if a person is holding a single rupee also, if he is investing single rupee of shares in the client company, then he is disqualified to act as an auditor. Suppose if his partner, if the auditor's partner has invested any amount of shares in the client company, in that case also he will be disqualified to act as an auditor. If auditor's relative, if a person relative, he has invested in the shares of a company, in that case some relaxation is given here. This relative can hold face value of rupees 1 lakh. This relative can hold the shares of rupees up to the face value of rupees 1 lakh they can hold. If they are holding more than 1 lakh, then the auditor will be given opportunity of 60 days. Within 60 days, the relative has to sell in the excess of face value of shares. If he is not going to sell, then the auditor is disqualified to act as an auditor. And if he is indebted to the company, either himself or his relative or partner, if they are indebted to the company or it's a subsidiary company or holding company or associated company in any company, then in that case, if they are indebted more than in excess of rupees 5 lakhs, in that case, they are also disqualified to act as an auditor. Next, a person, either himself or his relative or partner is given a guarantee, or provided any security in connection with the indebtedness of any third person. In that case, that guarantee is given in excess of rupees 1 lakh. In that case also, this person is disqualified to act as an auditor. Next, a person or a firm, whether they are having a direct or indirect business relationship with any company, then or holding company, or it's a subsidiary company, or any associate company, or associate ka holding company. Here one extra point will be added in the E point. E point is we will consider associate company. In the D point we will consider associate company alone itself. In the E point extra it will be added is apart from the associate company, associate ka subsidiary company also will be added here. Associate ka subsidiary company also will be added here. So if that person is having direct or indirect relationship with all these companies, all this group company, we can call it as a group company, okay na? Not logically but technically we can call it as a group company, okay na? So a person or firm, if they are holding direct or indirect business relationship with these companies, then he is disqualified to act as an auditor. What is the meaning of his business relationship? Business relationship means any ordinary transaction which has not taken at arm length price, then we can consider there is a business relationship which is existed between the people. Next, a person whose relative is a director or in the employment of a company as a director or a key managerial person, in that case also he is disqualified to act as an auditor. Why? Because again independence will get compromised here. A person who is in full-time employment elsewhere, a person who is working as a job and it does not have a certificate of practice, then he is also disqualified to act as an auditor. No, a person is a qualified chartered accountant holding certificate of practice. In that case, the maximum ceiling on the number of audits is how much, Nana? The maximum number of audits he can take up is 20 audits, not more than 20 audits. In the case of tax audits, limit is 60. In the case of tax audits, limit is 60, whereas in the case of normal company audits, signing audits, in that case is how much, Nana? Maximum ceiling limit is 20 companies, and there is some relaxations here we can see in the upcoming classes. Okay, now here in the case of ceiling limit 20, we have some relaxations we can see in the further upcoming classes, Nana. Next, a person who has been convicted by the court of law as a fraudulent person, then he is elapsed to act as an auditor for a period of 10 years from the date of such conviction. From the date of such conviction, he has been elapsed to act as an auditor for a period of 10 years. He cannot be act as an auditor for a period of 10 years. Further from the date of such conviction. Sir, whether a person has got a criminal case on him, he came out of the jail by taking bail, whether he can act as an auditor? Yes. Here the law is restricting only a fraudulent person, not a criminal person. The law is restricting only a fraudulent person, not a criminal person. That is the reason here this 10 years lapsing is applicable only to the person who is involving in the fraudulent activities, not criminal activities. So these are the disqualifications of an auditor. Next, apart from this, a person who is directly or indirectly rendering any services which is covered under section 144 of the Companies Act 2013. So if any person is rendering the services which is covered under the section 144 of the Companies Act, in that person also disqualified to act as an auditor. So what are all the services which is covered under the section 144? Under the section 144 covers prohibited services which cannot be prohibited services of an auditor. If an auditor is providing the services which is covered under section 144, he will be disqualified to act as an auditor for the same company if he is providing any of the services which is covered under section 144. Next. So these are the points which we have to keep in our mind. Next, what are the services which is covered under section 144? Prohibited services. Under the prohibited services, accounting, bookkeeping services, internal audit, design and implementation of financial internal control system, like providing investment banking services, investment advisory services, actuarial services, and rendering outsourcing financial services, if there are any other services which may be prescribed. If the auditor is providing all these services which is covered under section 144, then he will be disqualified to act as an auditor. Next, when the person after he has been appointed as an auditor, if he is disqualified, then what he has to do, sir? If a person has been appointed as an auditor, then he has been disqualified. After his disqualification, what he has to do, sir? A person after his appointment, if he is disqualified to act as an auditor, just he has to resign from his seat. He has to resign from his seat and he has to give the resignation letter. Next, Nana. Appointment of an auditor, Nana. Section 139 of the Companies Act 2013. Section 141 deals with the qualification and disqualifications of an auditor, Nana. Section 139 deals with the appointment of an auditor, Nana. So sections are not mandatory to remember. If you write, it's well and good. If you don't remember, please do not write the wrong sections in the exam. It will give you wrong implications. That is the reason, if you remember this section, please mention. If you don't remember this section, just you write as per prescribed rules and regulations of the Companies Act 2013, an auditor can be appointed. That's all. Instead of writing section 113 and appointment, if you are writing 140 or 141, then it will become a wrong inception. Okay, now. So appointment of company auditors, Nana. In the case of appointment of company auditors, there are two things here we can see. Appointment in normal case. The first one is what, Anna? Appointment in normal case, filling up of casual vacancy. Appointment of auditors is classified into two things. One is normal case, another one is filling the casual vacancy. Again, appointment in the normal case, there are two things. Appointment of first auditor, appointment of subsequent auditor. Then again in the appointment of first auditor and subsequent auditor, there are two things. In the case of other companies, in the case of government company. Appointment of first auditor in the case of other than government company and government company. So what are the procedures for the appointment of first auditor for a government company other than government company, and what is the procedure for appointment of subsequent auditor, government company other than government company? What is the procedure for filling up a casual vacancy in the case of other than government company, government company? Let us see in brief. So these are the 6 subtopics which are covered under the appointment of an auditor, Nana. And appointment of an auditor is given in the form number ADT 1, Nana. ADT is nothing but shortcut of audit. Shortcut of audit is nothing but ADT, form ADT1. Remember, an appointment of auditor is given in the form ADT1. This you have to remember. Why? Because compulsory standards on auditing, one question they will ask. MCQ question, number he will give, he will ask the name, or name he will give, he will ask the number. That is one damn sure question. And another damn sure question is forms, Nana. There are completely 4 forms, and the first one is form ADT1. Form ADT1 deals with the appointment of an auditor. Remember carefully. See, Nana. So provisions relating to the appointment of first auditor. Provisions relating to the appointment of which auditor? Nana? First auditor. So what is the meaning of first auditor and what is the meaning of subsequent auditor, sir? What is the meaning of first auditor and what is the meaning of subsequent auditor, sir? The meaning of first auditor is nothing but after the incorporation of a company, the auditor who is being appointed for the first time, that we will call it as a first auditor. After the conclusion of first annual general meeting, the auditor who will be appointed, then all the other auditors we can call it as a subsequent auditors. That is the difference between first auditor and subsequent auditors. So what is the difference here, Nana? First auditor and subsequent auditor. First auditor here, the difference is after the incorporation of a company, the person who has been appointed for the first time, that we will call it as a first auditor. And all other auditors who will be appointed after the conclusion of annual general meeting, those auditors are called as subsequent auditors. Now let us see the procedure for appointment of first auditor. Let us see the procedure for appointment of first auditor, Nana. In case of a company other than government company, simple way we can keep in our mind, government company, other than government company, that's all. Okay, na? There is separate provisions which is applicable to government company. There are certain provisions which is applicable to other than government company. So now let us see the procedure for appointment of a first auditor other than government company. In the case of other than government company, the first auditor of a company will be appointed by the board of directors, Nana. Why? Because for the first time members, when we will do the annual general meeting after completion of 1 year. So after the incorporation of a company, immediately annual general meeting we cannot conduct. So that is the reason in the case of a other than government company, first auditor will be appointed by the board of directors. The first auditor will be appointed by the board of directors within 30 days from the date of registration of a company. Within how many days they have to appoint, Nana? Within 30 days from the date of registration of a company, the auditor will be appointed by the board of director. In case failure of appointment of an auditor by the board of directors, it shall inform the members of the company. The board of directors should inform the members of the company, and members will appoint the auditor within 90 days after the completion of such period, 30 days. Then the auditor will be appointed by the members within 90 days by conducting an extraordinary general meeting. By conducting an extraordinary general meeting, the auditor will be appointed by the members within 90 days. The first auditor, what is the tenure period? What is the tenure period, and until which period the first auditor has to hold the office? The first auditor has to hold the office till the conclusion of first annual general meeting. Till the conclusion of first annual general meeting, the first auditor has to hold the office, Nana. Okay, na? Let us revise once, Nana. Other than government company, appointment of first auditor. First point you have to keep in your mind is what, Nana? The first auditor will be appointed by the board of directors within how many days, Nana? Within 30 days. The first board of director will be appointed, first auditor will be appointed by the board of directors within 30 days after the incorporation of a company. Second thing is, if the board of directors are failed to appoint the auditor, members will appoint the auditor within 90 days by conducting an extraordinary general meeting. So here ratio is 1:3. In the case of first auditor, what is the ratio, Nana? 1:3, 30 days, 90 days. So you can remember the ratio 1:3. 1 is 30 days, 3 is 90 days. And what is the tenure period of the first auditor, Nana? The tenure period of the first auditor is nothing but he has to hold the office till the conclusion of first annual general meeting. And in the case of government company, the appointment will be a different procedure. In the case of a government company, what do you mean by government company, sir? First of all, what do you mean by government company? A government company is nothing but if the government is holding minimum 51% of shares in the company. If the government is holding minimum 51% of the shares in a company, then in that case, that company will be called as a government company. Which government should hold, sir? Either central government or state government or both central and state government, they should hold minimum 51% shares in the company. In that case, we will call it as a which company, Nana? Government company. In that case, we will be calling it as a government company. In the case of government company, who will be appointing the auditor, sir? In the case of a government company, the authority is controller and audit general, Nana. Controller and audit general. So controller and audit general will be appointing an auditor within 60 days from the registration of company. Suppose if the controller and audit general fails to appoint the auditor, next the board of directors will be informed. This board of directors, by conducting extraordinary general meeting, they have to appoint the auditors within 30 days. Even if the board of directors are failed to appoint the first auditor, in that case the members has to appoint the auditor, first auditor, within 60 days by conducting an extraordinary general meeting. So this is the procedure in the case of government company. Then what is the tenure of the government auditor? In that case, the tenure of the government auditor is also same, Nana. He has to hold his office till the conclusion of first annual general meeting. The auditor has to hold the office till the conclusion of first annual general meeting, Nana. So this is the procedure for appointment of an auditor in the case of government company. Okay, na? So let us revise once, Nana. Let us revise once appointment of an auditor. Let us revise once, Nana. Appointment of an auditor. Appointment of first auditor in the case other than government company. First one is not, Nana. The board of directors shall appoint the first auditor within 30 days from the date of registration of a company. If the board of directors are failed to appoint the first auditor, next who will appoint, Nana? Members will appoint. The first auditor should be appointed by the members within 90 days by conducting an extraordinary general meeting. Next, what is the tenure term of first auditor? The first auditor has to hold the office till the conclusion of first annual general meeting. This is the procedure of appointment in the case of first auditor other than government company. Next, in the case of government company, what is the procedure for appointing first auditor? Government company means a company in which if a government is holding minimum 51% of the shares, minimum 51% of the shares is held by the government, either central government or state government or both together. In that case, that company will be called as a government company. In the case of government company, first auditor will be appointed by the Controller and Audit General of India within 60 days from the date of registration of a company. Within 60 days from the date of registration of a company. And if the Controller and Audit General fails to appoint the first auditor, next the board of directors will be appointing. The board of directors will be appointing within 30 days. Who will be appointing the first auditor? Board of directors will be appointing within 30 days. Even if the board of directors failed to appoint the auditor, then in that case, the first auditor will be appointed by the members within 90 days by conducting an extraordinary general meeting. This is the appointment procedure of first auditor in the case of government company. What is the tenure period? What is the tenure period an auditor has to hold the office in the case of government company? In the case of government company, the auditor has to hold the office until the conclusion of first annual general meeting. Until the conclusion of first annual general meeting, he has to hold the office. So this is the procedure for appointment of first auditor in the case of other than government company and government company. So go through, Nana, once.